I want to welcome you to the 2021 Tigard State of the City address, Late Night in Tigard. This year, it's going to be COVID style.
Coming to you remotely and socially distanced from the heart of downtown Tigard, the City of Tigard and TBC TV present Late Night in Tigard. Tonight's guest stars, Beth Colbegard-Irwin, Ben Bowman, Kenny Asher, Matthew and Lydia Hickox, John Trin, Valerie Sasaki, and Justin Lowe. Please welcome your host, Mayor Jason Snyder.
I want to welcome Ben Bowman, a Tigard-Tualatin School District Board member, to Late Night in Tigard. Ben, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Thanks so much for having me here on Late Night in Tigard.
So we wanted to talk today about Packed with Pride, which is a group and an organization that you, I think, put together pretty quickly as the pandemic started. Tell us all about that.
Well, it seems like ancient history now, but March of last year, when the pandemic first came to Oregon, and no one was sure what it was going to be or what it was going to look like, we were the first school district in the state to announce that we were closing school. And originally the idea was we were going to give ourselves a 1-week buffer between spring break, so we'll have 2 weeks total to sort of wait out the virus and it'll be gone. We'll come back to school, everything will be fine.
How'd that go?
Not so great, believe it or not, not so great. But one of the good things that happened in that meeting was it was a community conversation, so it wasn't just the school board, but and we kind of came together to say, yes, it makes sense to close schools, but if we close schools, there's a lot of students in our district who rely on the school district for basic nutrition access. So we have to figure out a way to provide nutrition to those kids while school is closed. And so that's how Packed with Pride started.
So who was involved in turning, Packed with Pride into a real thing that was delivering services to our community, really became a critical part of our community during the pandemic?
I mean, it started with a small team and it became a huge team. So the very first meeting was, it's wild to think about now because we weren't wearing masks at the time. Nobody knew that masks were a thing. We weren't social distancing. So the first meeting was I went over to TTSD board chair Maureen Wolf's house, and we got Margie up on a screen much like this, and we had a 3-person conversation about, okay, here are the logistics we need to think about in the short term. Here's what we'll put in boxes of food, etc. Then the next day, we went to the office of the Tigard-Tualatin Education Association, the teachers union, and Scott Heron from TTEA kind of joined that core team. And those 4 folks, myself, Maureen, Margie, and Scott, were sort of the initial group. The city of Tigard provided a huge lifeline at a critical moment for Packed with Pride. There was a moment after we had been operating for a couple months where I was sort of the pessimist in Packed with Pride, and I was talking about we need to start figuring out how we're going to wrap up and how we're going to shut off services because we don't want an abrupt ending where people who've been relying on us all the time.
So you were thinking small.
Yeah, I was, because a food program like this is incredibly costly. It costs a bunch of money to buy food, even though we get tremendous discounts. And right when we were having that conversation about what does the future look like, can we keep pulling this off, Mayor Snyder, the Tigard City Council, and the City of Tigard came through in a very big way and kept us alive, and I think signaled importantly to other donors and other community members that we were serious and we were going to be sticking around for a while.
Well, and this was a critical service for our community.
Absolutely, and so I texted with Margie Green before I came today, and the City of Tigard's grant specifically put together over 2,000 food boxes and fed over 10,000 individuals in our community. So really big numbers made possible by the City of Tigard.
So are there a couple of stories, like if I ask you to, tell me 1 or 2 stories that really, capture the essence of Packed with Pride and the impact it's having on the community, what would those couple stories be?
The one that's very vivid to me is this was back when I was intentionally unemployed before I knew there was going to be a global recession. But I was able to volunteer every day and just spent all my time at Tigard High School. And so I was helping on a Friday, and a parent who didn't speak English was driving through this sort of drive-through arrangement that Katie McKee from Tigard High School helped us figure out how to get the cone set up from her band expertise, parade expertise.
So she's applying her her prior skills to a new problem.
Exactly.
I think we've all done a lot of that this year.
Yeah, yes. And there was this mom who came through who, there's several folks who were able to translate. I speak a little bit of broken Spanish, but basically just tears coming down her face and with gratitude explaining that she didn't know how she was going to feed her family. And Pack with Pride existed to fill that need. The parent reaction is often emotional. And it's like, I think just overwhelmed gratitude and sadness, and there's
A lot of
built
emotions
up.
all at once there.
Yeah, but for students, for the kids, especially the younger kids, it's just joy. It's just pure happiness that they got some new food, they got a box of cereal. So when you deliver on Saturdays, and we have a no contact policy, so we're not actually interacting with the parents. You drop the box, knock, and then walk away, or sometimes you'll even text. And you can hear from inside the house the kids laughing or getting excited. Because their food delivery is there.
I think it's probably because someone from the school district came and they didn't deliver homework.
Yeah, that's true. That's true too. Although we did have some help from City of Tigard Library as well as the district's librarians to put some books in the Pack with Pride boxes, which, believe it or not, I think was a pleasant surprise for a lot of the students too.
Ben, I want to thank you very much for joining us today.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Good to see you.
See ya.
Hi Tigard, thank you so much for tuning in to watch the State of the City. 2020 was a difficult year for many of us, and when I look back, I'm so proud of the way that Tigard responded to COVID-19 with swift support for individuals and businesses. 2021 is looking brighter. I challenge all of you to continue to support each other by giving your time where you can and shopping local when possible. We can get through this together.
I want to welcome Matthew and Lydia from Empire Barbers to Late Night in Tigard. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
I've got a couple questions for you. You guys started your business in Tigard in 2019, correct?
Correct.
And what made you choose Tigard? I know it was kind of in retrospect, probably a hard time to be starting a business, and we'll get into that. But tell me about how you chose Tigard as a community.
Tigard's centrally located. Pretty much it's 20 to 30 minutes from everywhere, whether you're Portland, whether you're Salem, whether you're Hillsborough, Gresham, Oregon City. So it's very good because
So it was a strategic decision.
It was partly strategic, and then it was the opportunity for the lease was very visible. It's on a main road, which is Pacific Highway, which is a great thoroughfare, and then also we looked at surrounding communities, and the growth within Tigard and the surrounding areas is what really brought us there.
So one thing I learned about you and is just really impressive, but I want to ask you about is your involvement in both providing haircut services to both homeless individuals and folks that are in various types of recovery programs.
Everyone has a story, and their story matters.
Yep.
And so it was real important for me with lived experience was that it's more than just a haircut. And I learned that when I seen people that struggled with either mental health or transitioning from the systems and homelessness, and they needed some help, but I didn't have like a service or money to give them or a place to live. And so when I'd cut their hair, there was something that happened between us that I could see them get some sense of consistency and like just kind of like you look good, you feel good, and
Get
when
their dignity back,
Yeah,
maybe?
get their dignity, and they could stand up, and you'd see them get out of the chair, and the feeling that it gave me to give back to my community was very important to me.
How is your business done through COVID? You look to the boss there.
So our business has done, we've been afloat. We actually have done well under the circumstances. Tigard Cares has been very supportive.
So the city supported your business.
Exactly. The city has supported us, has embraced us. Tigard has embraced us and really has, checked up on us through this pandemic to see how we were doing. So that really meant a lot to Empire Barbers. And
Well, we want you to feel like you're part of the Tigard community. It's important to us.
We felt it. We felt it early on when we established our business there and we started up. Tigard, the whole community, not just the city of Tigard, but the whole community has come and embraced us and has made us feel welcomed in Tigard.
Thank you very much for your time, and appreciate you coming on Late Night in Tigard.
Thank you for having us.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hello, City of Tigard, Councilmember Jeanette Shaw. Great to be here with you this evening. I'm here at Cook Park, which is where I spent a number of time when we were under lockdown. Hopefully you're safe, and if you have gotten your vaccine, you'll be getting it soon. We're gonna have a great night for you. We're gonna review what the council did in the previous couple of years, and we're gonna be looking ahead to see what the council will be doing in the next 2 years. You're gonna be hearing from a number of community members who have really worked hard this past year during COVID to make sure that Tigard's gonna move forward. Hope you all have a great night. Take care. Bye, Tigard.
I want to welcome my next guest to Late Night in Tigard. Is John Trinh, the CEO of New Narrative. And John, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mayor. It's good to be here.
You know, the last year has been a very challenging time for pretty much everybody in the world. But tell me what that's looked like for the clients of New Narrative, and particularly in Tigard.
Sure. Now, New Narrative has been around and founded in the City of Tigard, actually, for 44 years. And our mission is from clinical care to peer programs to housing, that we provide resources for people with mental health challenges to develop the tool to thrive in the community, just not survive. Now, with the pandemic that occurred last year, I think everybody, you, myself, have been affected with COVID.
Yep.
But imagine in terms of someone who have mental health challenges or substance use disorder, that's even harder for them.
Yep.
And when we look at in terms of mental health challenges and moving towards more social distancing, telehealth, isolation becomes an issue.
I think it's becoming an issue for people that are maybe didn't have concerns or challenges with their mental health before, now do.
They do. And so we're looking forward in terms of moving out this pandemic and really re-engaging with our service recipient, moving out of isolation, work with them to do transitional employment, and really coming back to somewhat of a normal, thriving community.
Now, you volunteered to participate on our Public Safety Advisory Board that was recently formed. Tell me about why you volunteered.
Well, with the death of George Floyd, I think he really helped initiate or fire up the work that's needed to be done, really in terms of reviewing the practices and policy around safety in law enforcement. And he wasn't the first African American who died in the hands of police custody. And as an Asian American individual, as a person who worked in a behavioral health field for the past 18 years, it was a calling for me. I need to be a voice for the marginalized population. I need to be a voice for people who are disabled, in working with our law enforcement to make sure that we have a safe way to work and live within the community.
So you felt very called to participate? Yes. Well, thank you for stepping up and doing that. I do have one last question I like to ask folks is, what advice do you have for the mayor?
Well, I have to say, in terms of, I want to give kudos out to the Tigard PD. New Narrative have been working with the Tigard PD for many decades. And just to see in terms of the professionalism and the caring in working with our service recipient to make sure that we're not just throwing them in jail, make sure that we find a way to make sure that that people are successful and safe within the community. And the chief and all the staff around the PD has done a great job of that, and the work in terms of their training on critical intervention, which is important, to be able to be trained and work with folks who are mental health challenges and law enforcement so that we are safe and so that people in the interaction are safe and injuries and death doesn't occur.
So from your perspective, the Tigard Police Department's been a good or great partner on working with folks with both mental health challenges and also recovery?
Yes. And I also want to say thank you, Mayor, for your support. I know in terms of when you look at in terms of just racism itself, it's been around for centuries.
Yep.
And it's not an immediate fix. It's something that we all have to work together. I think everyone in the community can work together to really help break down the racism of not only structural, institutional, or culture, we all could be a part of this. And I'm looking forward to working with the chief. I'm looking forward to working with you, Mayor, and all the board members so that we can have a safe community that everyone can enjoy.
So I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
You just raised racism. What would you say as someone who works in the Tigard community, particularly with a number of different marginalized groups, what would you say to people, because I've heard this in the last year in response to some of the challenges I've given our community, what would you say to people in the Tigard community who say racism doesn't exist in Tigard?
I say that we need to really go back and look at in terms of some of the training and education about in terms of what is racism. Because
So it's an educational opportunity.
it is
for
an
them, you
educational
think?
opportunity, because without really understanding where we came from and how racism got developed, it's going to be hard for us to sort of break that down. I just have one more thing in terms of just talking about in terms of mental health.
Sure.
Is that 1 in 5 Americans have mental health challenges in adults, and that the myth about mental health individuals are wrong. I encourage the community to look up mentalhealth.gov to look at those kind of myths and really to understand that people who with mental health challenges are not violent. They are not criminals. 1 out of 10
They're
individuals-
people?
They're people. 1 out of when you look at in terms of people who have mental health challenges, over 10 times more mental health individual, they're 10 times more likely to be a victim of a violent crime than the one who's perpetrating it.
Well, thank you very much for joining us in Late Night in Tigard.
Thank you.
Hi, Tigard City Councilor Liz Newton here. Thanks for watching. 2020 was a challenging year for all of us, but I'm most grateful for the candid and thoughtful conversations we're having with our community around public safety. My hope is that 2021 is a better year. As things open up, join me in visiting our local restaurants, businesses, parks, and trails. Get out and explore everything that Tigard has to offer.
Hi, I'm here with Beth Kolbegard from Shears Ahead. Beth, thanks for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So 2020 has been quite a year for
Yes.
everyone in the business community, and I think everyone living in the world. Tell us about how your business made it through 2020 and the COVID-19 epidemic.
Well, we were very lucky. We were only closed down for a little over 2 months, but we still had to pay all of our bills, our rent. I just took my basic bills that I had to pay and divided up against my stylists, who are all independent contractors. So we just paid, the bare minimum we had to, but the bills were paid. So we
And that's
were lucky.
pretty common in your industry, right?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you were just paying the bills you had to pay and try. I mean, I think for a lot of businesses have really struggled trying to figure out how to get through. So what kind of advice do you have for? You've clearly figured out how to make it work. What advice do you have for other businesses in Tigard?
Don't spend more money than you're bringing in, and always put money away for a rainy day.
That's good advice in your family finances too.
That's how I
think.
live my life.
Did you get some assistance from the city of Tigard through any of our programs?
Yes, we did. We got a grant, and it made Shears Ahead whole with the money we lost. And then I was able to give back to my stylists some of the money that they had to spend in their rent. So it helped everybody out.
Last question for you, and I like to ask this question to lots of people, but what kind of advice do you have for the mayor?
Well, keep doing a good job.
I'm doing a good job?
Yes, I think so.
All right. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
Up next is the most popular segment in Late Night in Tigard, Mayor Walking. What's your name?
Bridget?
Bridget, and what's your name?
Patrick.
And who is this?
Otis.
Otis, yeah.
So what brought you to downtown Tigard today?
We are actually doing a virtual 10K.
So am I interrupting your 10K?
This is our coffee break.
Oh, your coffee, okay, so it's a 10K with a coffee break.
It's a 10K with the coffee break.
How's the walk gone for Otis this morning?
Sums it up.
Not so good. What's your name?
My name's Jenny.
Hi, Jenny. What's your name?
Lee.
And where are you guys from?
I'm from Northwest Portland.
Okay, how about you?
Same, Northwest Portland.
All right, what brought you to downtown Tigard today?
Well, we're just looking for a little adventure, giving the dogs a little exposure to some different parts of town.
Did you check out any of the parks or amenities in downtown Tigard?
We did. We checked out the new plaza,
Okay, Universal Plaza.
Universal Plaza, and we walked on the Fano Creek Trail a little bit.
What's your name?
Jeanette.
Jeanette?
Yes.
And what's your name?
Yannette.
Yannette.
Yes.
Jeanette and Yannette?
Yes.
Okay, and where do you live?
Tigard.
You live in Tigard?
Yes.
Okay. What's your favorite thing about downtown Tigard?
The people, the small businesses, how there's a variety of things to buy, to see, to do.
Good morning. What's your name?
I'm Kyle, and this is Dexter.
Kyle and Dexter. Awesome. What brought you to downtown Tigard today?
We just came to get some hot chocolate.
And how often do you come to downtown Tigard?
Oh, several times a week.
What's your favorite thing about downtown Tigard?
The ducks.
The duck, as opposed to the beavers, or different kind of ducks?
No, we support Oregon State, but
okay.
We haven't found any beavers yet on the
Okay,
trails.
but you like the ducks
Yeah,
downtown.
My name's Mimi.
Mimi, and who is
Julia.
this? Julia. And where are you guys from?
I'm from Gladstone.
Okay, and how about you?
Westland.
And what brought you to downtown Tigard today?
Julia mentioned how great this little downtown is and how we should come and do some exploring.
Awesome. Any thoughts on things that the city should add, like an amenity or something in downtown Tigard, or you like what you've seen so far?
Well, you know what I like is I'm an artist and,
Okay.
and I like the art.
Okay.
And I loved the informative historical art, public art projects on the way down.
Along
and-
the Heritage Trail? Okay.
Absolutely, and the mosaic on the little rocks, the stones.
Yep.
It was just such a beautiful piece of art.
What's your favorite thing about downtown Tigard?
I like that everything is compact and walkable, and
Okay.
I enjoy the variety of shops down here.
Do you like Tigard or Beaverton better?
You know, we're from Beaverton, but I'd actually say that we're more familiarity with the downtown Tigard than we do with the downtown Beaverton.
Awesome. We'll take that, Mayor Beatty. Oh, no. Good morning. What's your name?
My name is Tracy.
And?
Tracy.
The Tracy Squared. Okay.
That's right.
And what brought you to downtown Tigard this morning?
We were out for our usual Saturday walk.
Okay. What's your favorite thing about downtown Tigard?
I actually live just down the road, and I love downtown Tigard. I love the burgers at, I think it's Bailey's, just down the road.
Love Bailey's.
I love the car shop. I love having food carts in the area, because sometimes I'll walk down and get something from the food carts. And I love this coffee shop. It's awesome.
Just a couple of Tigard trivia questions.
Uh-oh.
When do you think the current Tigard City Hall was constructed?
I'll be random. 1912, I don't know.
What year do you think the current Tigard City Hall was built? Any idea? The city became a city in the mid-60s, so I'll give you that hint.
I'd say maybe in the late 1800s would be my guess. Was it 8 years ago?
No, it was a lot longer than that. You have a guess?
I have no clue.
No idea? How about you? Any idea?
I really don't, but I'm going to guess 1904.
1904. No, it was not. Tigard didn't become a city till the 60s.
Well, you would think they would build that shortly after the city became a city. So how about the 70s maybe?
The 80s, mid-80s
Okay.
is when it was built.
Okay.
And Tigard Police Department had about 35 staff at that time. How many staff do you think the police department has now?
Oh, wow.
How many people do you think work in the police department now? There were 35 in the 1980s.
Well, I don't know. Maybe close to 100.
Yes, just about 100. How do you think they're doing in that space that was built for 35?
I would imagine they're a bit crowded.
How many staff do you think the police department has now?
Oh, wow.
Got a guess?
Triple?
Triple?
tripled?
That's about exactly right.
Oh, good job.
How many full-time employees do you think we have now in the police department?
65?
Yeah, it's more like 100.
Yeah, okay.
So how do you think they're doing sitting in that space for 35?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. It's got to be crowded.
How do you think that triple the people is fitting in that facility?
That looks pretty tight. We saw it on the way to the skate park,
Oh,
and
looks
that would
pretty
be tight.
tight. Okay. So how do you think they're doing fitting in that space?
I'm sure they're overflowing.
Did you see Beaverton recently solve that problem?
I did see Beaverton solve that problem. They built a new community center police station building. I know that they were on top of one another and had no place to store their equipment and were busting at the seams.
Awesome. You know anything about the mayor of Tigard?
No. I don't.
Okay. Do you think they're doing a good job though?
I would say keep up the good presence of art in the community. I know that draws people.
Okay.
And keep it user-friendly.
Well, I can make sure that advice gets to the mayor because I am the mayor of Tigard.
Of course.
I'm Jason Snyder. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Jason. Nice to meet you too.
Are you confident that the mayor is a male?
No, I am not.
Okay.
And probably more likely, or could be a woman, or
Well, the mayor of Beaverton now
is a woman,
Yeah.
Lacey Beatty.
Okay. You don't have any info on who the mayor of Tigard may be?
I think it's you, isn't it?
Last question for you both. What advice do you have for the mayor of Tigard?
Oh, good grief.
Any advice? Sage advice?
I really don't, since I am fairly new, but I think it was a great adventure. I think we'll come back. I think we enjoyed the trail. It's a great place to come.
Would that mean that you think the mayor's doing a good job if you enjoyed yourself?
Why is this becoming political?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go there. I don't know.
You're not going to go there?
No, I won't go there.
You don't know anything about the mayor of Tigard?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Are you the mayor of Tigard?
I am the mayor of Tigard. And now a message from our sponsor.
Thank you, Mayor Snyder, for the opportunity to contribute to your State of the City. My name is D'Angela Wells, and I lead the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department for Portland General Electric. We commend the City of Tigard for your commitments to DEI and applaud the announcement of your anti-racism action plan. We share their objective to build an inclusive workforce that is reflective of the communities we serve. In 2020, PGE made 5 DEI commitments: recruit and develop our employees, diversify our leadership, diversify our supplier base, expand our racial equity awareness and education, and engage our communities. Most recently, PGE launched its new bill assistance payment programs and is partnering with several community-based organizations in Washington County, including Adelante Mujeres, Latino Network, Meals on Wheels, Virginia Garcia Health Center, and schools and teachers in the county to raise awareness about resources available to low-income residents, communities of color, seniors, veterans, and others needing help with past due balances. Thank you again for your partnership in delivering an Oregon kind of energy to our communities.
My next guest on Late Night in Tigard is Kenny Asher, the City of Tigard's Community Development Director. Kenny, thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm excellent. It's really good to be here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, thanks for joining us. And I want to start by asking you about the citywide facilities consolidation project, which my first question for those that may not speak bureaucratese like I've had to learn to do. I know you're an expert at it. You're fluent.
But thank you.
Tell us what that project's about.
The idea is to consolidate all of our city services, pretty much all of them, in one building downtown, and to use our surplus property downtown to develop a lot of housing, a lot of affordable housing. So the benefits of doing something like that are pretty extensive. We've got a lot of facilities challenges, both in terms of the facilities themselves and the maintenance and repairs that we're looking at, and also running out of space, especially in the police department, not to mention seismic codes that we can't meet.
So let me ask you a little bit about that. I'm gonna give you a little trivia questions and a test here. So how many square feet approximately was the police department when it was built in 1986? You got any idea?
I'm gonna guess 20,000 feet.
How about 11,400 square feet?
It's even worse.
And how many staff was that designed for?
That I think I know, about 35.
Okay, you got that one, nice.
Okay.
2021, how many staff do we have?
In the police department, I think we've got 130 or some.
I think it's about 97 if you count sworn personnel plus support staff. So
a lot more than 30.
Yeah, a lot more than 35 for sure. And the square footage of the police department's increased a little bit, but not much. And it's yeah. So I'm glad that I can test you on this a little bit. How many square feet of storage unit space do you think the police department has full of evidence and property that has been seized and or equipment and gear? You got any ideas? It might be more than your house.
I don't know. I just know that they don't have room for it.
Yeah, how about almost 3,000 square feet of rented storage?
I know that the police department is leasing space, Public Works is leasing space. That's the other thing people don't understand. We're already spilled over. We are already leasing space. I know that's true.
You know, my sense is that we're really trying to solve multiple problems by sort of implementing this program or project. Why don't you tell us from your perspective what the major problems are that we're solving? I mean, we were just talking about the size of our facilities and how they were designed initially, but what other problems are we going to get to be able to solve through this?
Man, there are so many, unfortunately. And I think the first one is really about money. It's really about the cost. These are older buildings, and they're expensive.
They look nice from the outside.
They do.
What would you say to that?
They do. The city's done a good job of keeping up the exterior and the grounds. But anybody who owns a home knows that all of the big costs are in sort of the hidden systems, roofs and sewer systems, HVAC systems, and the city has to worry about those things. And I think if COVID has taught us anything, it's that public emergencies, health emergencies do happen, and the government, the city, state, the federal government really has an important role to play in keeping everybody as safe as possible.
So our choice here is to put money into our current facility, kind of pour more money into it. I think at a council meeting last week, I was kind of relating that to putting a new engine in your 1983 Honda Civic, which, you know, now that you've got a much bigger family, maybe doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And at the end of the day, it's still a 1983 Honda Civic. What did you think of my comparison there to the old Honda?
That's absolutely right. This is about, like so many of the choices the council has to make, what's the smart investment? Because we're going to pay. The community is going to pay. You don't get a free ride because facilities it's just infrastructure. I mean, we think about keeping the water system up to date. We think about keeping our parks up to date and clean and modern. We have to think that way about these facilities as well. And let me tell you, the facility costs, which are maybe hidden behind that nice veneer of these buildings, that bill is going to come due. So one way or another, we're going to pay.
Now you're saying we're going to have to pay, but I want to challenge that a little bit because the plan that we've put forward doesn't involve more taxes. So speak a little more about that.
So when I say we have to pay, what I mean is right now we know that the police station needs a new roof. We know it needs to be expanded. We know that it probably needs new sewer lines. We don't know if that sewer line replacement's even possible. That's just one building. We've got 5 buildings downtown. One of them was built in the 1950s. So to keep these buildings going...
Our IT building, I might add, right? The
yes.
irony there.
Right. So to keep those buildings going, we're going to have to make these repairs. We're going to have to make these capital expenses.
And not only is many of the needs not met from a size perspective, but there's also safety and security issues at the police department, right?
Yeah, and unfortunately we experienced just how worrisome that can be a couple of weeks ago, where we have a campus that is unsecured because this campus that we're working out of today in downtown Tigard, you know, it wasn't really designed for all of the functions that it has to accomplish now. And we have the opportunity here, as you mentioned, without raising taxes, to design and build a 21st century civic center, city hall, police station, that would meet resiliency needs and climate change concerns, safety and security, efficiency. We would be able to design a city hall appropriate for a city that is growing like Tigard.
Well, and we're the biggest landholder in downtown right now, and we don't use our land very well, right?
No.
I mean, it's like not very dense and not very well used.
Right. We've got single-use, single-story buildings with lots of surface parking.
It's what someone like you hates to see, right?
Well, I think everybody in Tigard wants a downtown where they can come in the evening and stroll and eat dinner and, you know,
have some excitement.
Yeah, and we're not helping with our current layout. That's okay. But you asked about housing. You know, we have 13 and a half acres downtown, city property.
Was that surprising to you when you figured, like, you all counted it up and you were like, wow, that's a lot of acres?
Yeah, a little bit. And you know what's sort of amazing about it is that a lot of it is just used for parking and for a public works maintenance yard. Like, you don't have to be a community development director to know that if you want a vibrant downtown, you probably shouldn't put a maintenance yard for your public works facility down there. So we have a lot of legacy uses in the downtown, and it's only now finally starting to become the downtown that everybody wants. But the number one thing that you need to have an exciting downtown is residential uses.
People.
You need to have people down there, but not just visitors. You need to have people that live down there, because people that live downtown, they will be there in the evenings, they will be there in the mornings, they're there all the time, and they care a lot about their neighborhood. And that's what we're trying to do downtown, is to make a neighborhood, and it's starting. The Atwell off Main project that went in a few years ago has been tremendously successful. If we can shrink our footprint for how much land we're using for our office, we then have, you know, many, many acres to sell for redevelopment. And we factor about 500, we project about 500 units of housing. That's like 3 Atwell off Main projects right there at Hall and Burnham.
Really
it's a lot of housing. And I also want to mention, a lot of that could and will be affordable housing. We don't want just market rate housing, because we all know how expensive that is. We want all kinds of people being able to live downtown.
Well, Mr. Asher, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me on Late Night in Tigard. Really appreciate it. And see you soon.
My pleasure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, Tigard. John Goodhouse, City Councilor. What a year 2020 has been. With COVID, working from home, get to know more of our neighbors, a lot more shopping local, but it's been a great year as well. Learned a lot, came together as a community. We had a safety levy that passed in the city, formation of a Universal Plaza in downtown Tigard, a lot of growth happening. But if anything we take away from this is just more how to be connected to our loved ones, cherishing those relationships, being with everyone. And in the next upcoming year, just love to see everyone in our downtown Tigard, the Tigard Triangle, and continue those relationships everyone's developed during these times with their community members, and keep those up, and continue to volunteer at the city on boards and commissions and everything like that, and being active. We're a great community. We're here for each other. We've done a great job of supporting communities, businesses, and keep it up, and have a great night, Tigard.
My next guest in Late Night in Tigard. What was that? My next guest on Late Night in Tigard, it's Justin Lowe, one of our new members of the Public Safety Advisory Board. Justin, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Of course. Thank you very much for having me, Mayor Snyder.
I am curious about what your specific motivation was to participate in the Public Safety Advisory Board. Why was it important to you, and why did you decide to apply in the first place?
I saw it as a way to contribute to meeting the moment that we were in at that time. As someone who's always been a part of diversity, equity, and inclusion work from high school to undergrad, and then in my professional line of work, I felt a moral obligation to be a part of the conversation and to try to be a participant. And especially since in some of my projects that I do outside of my day job, I have the wonderful opportunity to get to work with student leaders. And through that, line of work, I've come across students who are from our very own city and from the Tigard-Tualatin School District who were not only very passionate about the opportunity to talk about SROs, but also just policing in general.
What's an SRO? You're using jargon there, Justin.
I apologize. An SRO is a school resource officer. And so these are the folks who are working within our schools and helping monitor public safety within them.
So what have you learned from some of your fellow Public Safety Advisory Board members that you've had a couple meetings now? So what are some of the most interesting things you've learned or conclusions you've drawn from listening to other members of the board?
I've learned a lot specifically about the mental health lens of this. You know, we have 2 community members, and I believe maybe one more, who work professionally in the mental health field and community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that since I don't come from that background, it's been very enlightening to hear about and to understand how that plays a role in public safety, how it plays a role in a law enforcement officer's duty and responses.
So you're glad they're at the table then?
Oh yes, absolutely. I think that the overall composition of the Public Safety Advisory Board has been wonderful to be a part of because there's such a diverse array of different professions and backgrounds.
It almost sounds like you're saying the person that came up with the composition of the board is brilliant. Would that be true?
You know, I wouldn't want to give them too much credit, but I will admit that whoever was responsible for the composition was very intentional with their selecting.
We'll leave it at that. What would you want the community, like the community broadly, to know about the work of the Public Safety Advisory Board from your perspective?
The thing that I'd like the community to know first and foremost is to have hope. And the reason why I say that is because I have never felt so hopeful to be a part of a space and decision-making table that was created specifically to bring people together on such a very sensitive and very pressing matter that the community deeply cares about on both sides of the argument. And I think the fact that we've created this space to bring community members, health professionals, law enforcement, and city staff to the table to discuss this hard conversation and talk about how we can make the community safer and better for everyone is such an incredible opportunity.
Justin, I want to thank you very much for your time visiting Late Night in Tigard. Really appreciate it and hope to see you around soon.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for spending the night with us, Tigard. That video just reminds me of the first meeting of the Public Safety Advisory Board. We're off to a great start and I'm excited to see what's next to come. 2021 is going to be a year of recovery, so this year I challenge you to help our local community by shopping and eating local whenever you can. Thanks and enjoy the rest of the night. Bye.
I want to welcome my next guest to Late Night in Tigard. It's one of the members of our Public Safety Advisory Board, Valerie Sasaki. Welcome, Valerie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I got a number of questions for you. The first one I want to ask you about is, what was your motivation for wanting to serve on the Public Safety Advisory Board?
Well, we represent a lot of businesses in Tigard, and businesses whose owners have come from a lot of different backgrounds. I think people would be surprised to find out how diverse Tigard really is. Mm-hmm. I grew up very close to Tigard in a very much less diverse environment. And so, my work life, I see how diverse Tigard is. And then I walk my dogs by Tigard High School every morning, and I see all the students coming to class, and they come from every ethnicity and group that you can imagine. And so, I think the opportunity to participate in this was really important to me because I think, that diversity makes us so much stronger.
And have you already seen that in the couple of Public Safety Advisory Board meetings that have happened already? What have you seen as far as, the diversity of thought and perspective?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. We have people who have very clear viewpoints and very clear backgrounds that they bring to the table, and everybody's got a perspective, which I think is great, because we really want people to be able to respectfully exchange ideas and figure out, how can we make Tigard stronger? How can we, support our police and support our community with the idea that it's not a zero-sum game? And so I think, the communications that we've had so far and the meetings we've had so far have really reflected that. And I've been really pleased with, the level of empathy that some of our fellow board members have shown, the participation of the police. I think it's been really positive so far, and I think it'll be really positive going forward.
Your description of the positive public discourse and true actual conversation and interaction and exchange of ideas sounds like something that maybe our national political leaders could learn from, perhaps?
Don't get me started.
Don't go there? Okay. I won't push you on that. What message would you give to our community about the Public Safety Advisory Board? What would you share with them that you think they need to know about the work of the Public Safety Advisory Board? What would you say?
Really, our goal is to help support the community and make Tigard a better place. So to the extent that people have ideas on how to do that, I would love to hear them.
You want to hear them?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to be able to bring them to the group. I'd love for us to be able to build structures that are supportive of our community and supportive of that diversity within our community, not just racial and ethnic, but economic and, in all these other aspects.
Yeah, there's really a lot more to diversity than just race and ethnicity, right?
Absolutely.
What do you, how do you see that manifest itself when you're thinking about diversity?
Yeah, when I think about diversity, so my conception of diversity is really how to meet people where they are. Diversity is the idea that we don't all come from the same background and we don't all have the same tools, to approach a problem.
Right.
And so, we may have people who have mental health challenges in the community. We have people of all sorts of different economic strata, and I think it's meeting people where they are and making sure that our policing structures are able to meet people where they are, and that we have the right combination of tools so that we can safely and effectively, protect our communities.
Well, Valerie, I want to thank you very much for joining me on Late Night in Tigard. Good to see you, and really appreciate the time.
Thank you for having me.
Last year, I gave you my top 10 list of things that I've learned while being mayor. Tonight, I'm going to share my top 10 list of things that changed since the last State of the City. Let's take a look. Number 10, we learned that Wonder Woman isn't just a movie. It's real life in Tigard. You, the voter, made history by electing the first majority female city council in Tigard's history. Councillor Shaw was elected for her first term. Councillor Lube was elected to serve another term. And Councillor Lube was re-elected for 4 more years. Number 9, we learned that Zoom is an acquired taste. Does this sound familiar? I think you're muted. Can you see my screen now? I think we lost you. And next slide, please. Just like you, the City Council learned a lot about online meetings. Number 8, we learned Tigard's top dog for dog owners, according to Money Magazine. In 2019, Tigard was voted one of the most romantic cities in the country. In 2020, the dogs, or at least the dog owners, barked their approval when Money Magazine named Tigard the most dog-friendly city on the West Coast. Top that, Tualatin. Number 7, we learned distilleries make alcohol for your mouth and your hands. While you were seeing empty shelves while you looked for hand sanitizer, Tigard-based Rose City Distilling was filling the need. They began producing hand sanitizer and providing it to the community, including the Tigard Police Department. Number 6, we learned not everyone follows directions. From hand washing to mask wearing to social distancing, most of our community stepped up and did their part, but weren't we washing our hands before COVID? Number 5, we learned that my poopy face isn't only an emoji. It's also my Netflix username. Thank you, kids. I don't remember going over this potential scenario in parenting class. Number 4, we learned that Tigard supports public safety. By approving the levy in May 2020, you invested in the safety of our community. You ensured that we will have an adequate number of officers in the community. You also ensured that all officers will be trained in advanced crisis intervention and de-escalation to address increased mental health crises. Thank you, Tigard. Number 3, we learned that change is inevitable. Embrace it. Running council meetings from my living room, trading a coffee shop for Facebook Live, and discussing a police levy on Microsoft Teams wasn't something we planned, but we adapted and used it as an opportunity. Through digital platforms, we've expanded our reach in the community. Number 2, we learned that Beer-A-Cat is a key influencer. Tigard's favorite cat, the Beer-A-Cat, became famous in 2020 for sharing memes about social distancing, hand washing, and voting. I teamed up with Beer-A-Cat to encourage people to vote. Number 1, we learned that crisis brings out the best in people. How do we know this? Because you told us. In December, more than 200 community members shared who helped them make it through such challenging times. In this next segment, here's a sampling of the superstars in our community.
I am thankful to be able to live in a city where the government and administration really do their best to give us a good quality of life. Thank you, Tigard.
Hello, my name is Adil Mohammed and I'm thankful for my teachers who put in 8 to 10 hours a day weekly so that we can have the best online experience. Even though there's been a plethora of setbacks, they still put in the work every day, 5 days a week, so that we can be the next pillars of our community.
While it's been a challenging year, I am really thankful that our community has come together to support people who needed extra help during the pandemic. And for me, Packed with Pride has been the biggest source of inspiration and something I'm really grateful for because we come together and we feed the students and the families in our community who need extra help. And it wouldn't have happened if not for the circumstances of the pandemic. So I'm really grateful that Tigard came together to support Packed with Pride.
To say it's been a challenging year is an understatement. But what am I thankful for in the midst of all of this? One, I'm thankful for my friends. I'm thankful for my family. I am thankful for the leadership that has been shown by the community that I live in. I am currently a member of the Public Safety Advisory Board, which is looking at the practices of the Tigard Police Department and other city institutions around the issues of social justice and equity. I want to applaud Tigard's City Council and specifically Mayor Schneider for the work that he has done in leading this much needed and much important conversation amongst City Council, but as well amongst the community at large. I am thankful for the members of the PSAB who are giving their time to speak on behalf of their friends, their family, and their community to ensure that we are all treated equitably and fairly by the institutions that are here to serve us. Lastly, I want to say thank you for all the wonderful people that I have seen walking through the neighborhood, waving, smiling, and sharing good thoughts with each other. It does my heart good, it makes our community better, and it also shows that through all of this, we have compassion and caring for each other. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Natalia Hawkes, and I am super thankful for my family, my friends, all the teachers in TTSD who have worked so hard to make this school year the best it can be, and all the members of Tiger Youth Advisory Council and everyone who's helped us along the way.
While it's been a challenging year, I am thankful for the City of Tigard, both the elected officials and especially the city staff for going above and beyond to help Tigard Little League and to help our community's kids by doing some heavy lifting on a big project down at Cook Park and all the other stuff that they do to help our kids make a more rapid and joyful return to normal.
I am thankful for the way that Tigard takes care of the people in Tigard. We take care of each other. Whether it's neighbor helping neighbor, whether it's Packed for Pride, which packs 850 boxes of food a week for the people in Tigard and Tualatin, or whether it's the Just Compassion of East Washington County, which feeds the homeless and also shelters them. That's what I'm thankful for, because we take care of our neighbors. Thank you.
While our recent challenges have been rough, I'm stoked to see Tigard businesses adapting, evolving, and building back stronger than ever. New business models, new ideas, new ways of doing things. I know for me, the home office is now the only office, so I'm excited to both work and contribute in Tigard, the place where we live.
While it's been a challenging year, I am grateful for the support of the Tigard Cares Act. I'm in an industry where we invite people in mass gatherings to come into a dark windowless room and sit next to strangers. I'm grateful for the library figuring out how to navigate their hours to continue to be accessible to the community. And I'm especially grateful for the Fano Creek Trail, which has gotten me off the couch and to stop watching Netflix for a while.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici, and I represent Northwest Oregon. While it has been a challenging year, I'm thankful for this wonderful community and that we've come together to support each other. And I'm even thankful for Zoom. Even though we're all tired of video calls, the silver lining is that people who couldn't participate in person can easily join. Plus, it's great when babies and pets make a cameo appearance. Take care, everyone, and stay safe.
I want to thank you all for joining me at the 2021 Tigard State of the City Address. Good night.
Rolling camera, and action.
Hi, I'm here with Beth Kolbegard from Shears Ahead.
Let's do that one more time, and action.
Hi, I'm here with Beth from
Rolling camera, and action.
Last year, I gave you my top 10 list of things that I've learned while mayor. Okay, sorry, there's errors in the script. So 10K brought you to downtown Tigard today.
It did, yeah.
And where are you from?
Beaverton.
You're from Beaverton.
Oops, and he's out.
Did you lose? Oh, Kevin, you're killing me. How's the walk gone for Otis this morning? Oh, not so good.